If you're from the UK, you know what football is, and if you're not, you might call it soccer. But in football, we have a thing in the UK called the commentator's curse. And what that is the commentator will say something like, "Oh, that defender's having a good game, stopping them from scoring goals," and bang, he'll make a mistake, and the other team will score a goal. Or something like, "Ah, this guy's the greatest striker in the world. He never misses." Ball off, way to the right. Commentator's curse is when the commentator says something and obviously the complete opposite happens. Yesterday I cursed the channel with the commentator curse, and I was talking about all these great drops that are coming down the line. We've got the there's two dunk highs. One's the ambush, it's the atomic green, that's what it's called, and then there's the Undercover Basketball Association. Two brilliant sneakers that are coming down the line, both on July the 30th, and alongside them comes the Superstar Lego, which is coming out of the actual Lego game. Like there's a Lego pack that you can buy and create your own superstar, and out of that they've actually made the superstar that matches that, and you can wear the thing unlike the actual toy. Do not wear Lego bricks on your feet, just, you know, saying. Health warning and all that, in case I get in trouble because somebody tries to wear Lego on their feet, because it's Tokyo Butter 23 said you can wear Lego superstars. Don't do that. So but I was talking about all that also July 30th for those Lego superstars. Tons of stuff coming down the line. Very happy there's been this sort of lull in the sneakers, and then we've got this great stuff coming down the line, and here I am today looking for something to talk about. Zip. Couldn't find a thing to talk about. It's almost like all the August drops haven't been put up yet. Nobody knows what's coming down the line early August. Anything a bit later than that is a bit too far in the distance, and I don't like to be talking about stuff that's too far in the distance. It should be round about 10 days before the drop date. So I was looking for something to talk about, and I came across these guys right here. What we're talking about today is these SB Dunk Low Pro, to give it its full title, Laser Blue. And I thought, you know what, there's enough in that for me to talk about, even though it's ahead of the drop date, and there's a little sneaking suspicion they might drop in the next week or so, which is earlier than planned. They're talking about September for the actual drop date, but I've got a little sneaking suspicion these guys might actually come out of the woodwork a little bit faster. So that's the shoe that I went with today. It's not quite the way I normally go around choosing a shoe, but it's the one that we're left with today. So let's get into it and talk about these Laser Blue Air Max 90s. Because you have to talk about the Air Max 90 that the shoe's based on today. It's an echo of these Air Max 90s here, and we'll go talk about the comparison between the two in a second. But basically, those Air Max 90s is one of the classic Air Max 90 colorways, and it was retroed last year for the 30th anniversary of the Air Max line, so the Air Max 90 line. So this Laser Blue is a very sort of important colorway, and they very much got it into this SB Dunk Low today. I'm still keeping up the Air Max 90 picture here though, because one thing I do want to focus on is that there just doesn't seem to be enough colour on the front end of the SB Dunk Low Pros we're looking at today. So you've got these Air Max 90s here, and you can see the way the colours are, and there's not a place in the shoe where you're like, whoa, there's an awful lot of white in that one place. But then if we bring up today's Dunks, you can see the front end of the shoe is heavily white, and they aren't breaking that up with any kind of blue or anything like that. Now they could have chosen to broken up in a few different ways, and they didn't, but it's still a very clean shoe, and it is enough of a shout out to those Air Max 90 Laser Blues, and you see the commonality between the two, but it would have been a bit of they would have been kind of cramming it in there to maybe make the quarter line, for example, blue to break up the front white part of the shoe, but that would have been a bit forced. I think this is what an SB Dunk Low Laser Blue should look like, instead of trying to force the blue in too much. It doesn't have to be an identical matchup to those Air Max 90s, if you know what I mean. Now these SB Dunk Low Pro Laser Blues, it's all about the materials. It's all about the materials. That's the whole story of the shoe. Of course, there's that comparison back to the Air Max 90s, but it's the way that they put that Air Max 90 colorway into this SB Dunk Low Pro in the materials. I can't stress that enough, that the materials is the main talking point in the shoe, and what we're going to do first is go through all of those materials and look at which ones are in which particular places, and then we'll get into the branding on the shoe. So first things first, materials. First material, might as well start on the swoosh. So here's the swoosh up nice and close, a beautiful grey. I think it might be the only place that the grey comes in to the shoe now that I think about it. I hadn't thought about that before. But the big signature of it is that it's grey suede on the side of these guys, and it's a great place to start for that quality feel. But I'm a bit let down because the quality of the suede is gradually faded out as you go through the shoe. So you're starting with a very high quality piece of material, and you're going to gradually work your way down to some more standard materials. But for a start, it's a great place to get into those materials and look at that on the side of the shoe. Medial, lateral doesn't really matter. I'm probably got the lateral up here, and the next step to go to when we're looking at the quality materials is the mid-foot panel. You can see the quality of the white leathers there, and it definitely looks like some kind of soft leather going on in there. So we're still staying in the sort of higher end of the quality materials, suede and soft leathers, but now we start to move away from that into sort of some less high quality materials, and we'll go backwards from this into the one black part of the shoe, which is sort of ankle and heel support there, and you can see it's a very standard black smooth leather on the back of these guys. So you've gone from those kind of quality natural materials in the suede, which is a very smooth and kind of textured feel, into the softer materials of the midfoot, which again still gives you an idea of the softness, but now we're into a much kind of harder and much smoother matte finish to the black on that ankle and heel support, and that's mimicked by the rest of the line, which is the laces and the quarter line, and then onto the toe box, but this time in white instead of being in black. And again, it's the standard leathers on there, but that line does take us all the way to the front to the toe box, where I was kind of surprised to see mesh in the toe box panel. It won't be the easiest thing to see in white. White's not a great thing to look at when you want to see the quality or the textures of some kind of material, but that toe box with the toe box panel there in mesh was kind of a surprise to me, and it's balanced out by the materials they use around the top end of the ankle, where you can see the white mesh on there as well. So you've gone from suede, one of the smoothest, cleanest materials to make sneakers out of, and then all the way down to mesh, one of the kind of standard man-made materials to make them out of. So that's why, to me, this shoe is all about the materials and all about the construction, the physicality of the shoe, rather than the design or the colors, even though the color being laser blue is a major talking point on the shoe. So hopefully that gave you guys some kind of idea as to the physical construction of the shoe. The next thing to do is to look at the branding and the placement of the coloring on these guys. So I'm going to start back with the tongues, and we'll have a look there. They are a neat tongue. I did say about the swoosh that this grey is not repeated anywhere else in the shoe, and this is a place where I think they could have brought some grey in, but they didn't. What they have done is they've gone around the edge of the tongue with a blue, aqua blue, laser blue piping on the outside edge of the white tongue, and it has a white branding panel on it, and on that white branding panel you have the blue and the black branding and Nike swoosh, and the SB Dunk Low Pro written down the bottom of the branding panel on there. And again, like I say, there could have been a place for some grey in there, even if it was just simply the writing on the shoe. And then back from that you get into the insole, and you see it's that laser blue insole with the black branding in there, including the Zoom Air unit detailing going on the inside of these guys. And then round to the back to have a look at the branding panel on the bag. And I don't know why, but this is exactly the branding panel I would have chosen in my mind. I would have definitely gone for black branding on the laser blue branding panel on the predominantly white back end of the shoe. But then now that I see it, that black branding feels like it's a bit too much, and I wouldn't go with this colour combination now that I see it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the lettering or the stitching is a little bit too big, or if the black is too bold on the lighter colours of the rest of the shoe and it's got too much of a pop to it, but it just feels a little bit heavy and a bit clunky, the size of that black Nike branding in the blue branding panel on the back. And they do have that classic kind of hunched over E on the side that you get on the back of SB Dunk Low Pros, because they can't fit the word Nike in that branding panel. I love that they've never fixed that. I think that's a great little signature for the shoe. So the branding on the tongues, the insoles, and then the back of these guys. And then the final thing to look at is flip them upside down and have a look at the two-tone outsole. That's one of the signatures of SB Dunk Low Pros. If it was just a standard Nike Dunk Low, you'd have an all single color outsole, but because it's an SB Dunk Low Pro, you have the two-tone outsole where you have the laser blue, and then in the middle of that you also have the black panel with the branding in there that says Nike Swoosh SB to finish off the shoe. And it's a great way to finish off the shoe because you need that blue on the outsole balancing out the blue that you had on the piping and the branding at the top of the shoe, but still when you come back out to look at the whole shoe, you can see what I mean about the front end being a little bit too white and not having quite enough color in there to break up the solidity of it. But there's no other way to do it when it comes to SB Dunk Low Pros. Anything else would have seemed forced and maybe a little bit not quite right. So that's a look at the shoe today. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to come back with something that's dropping in early August. I can't remember the date today. Is it the 19th today? It's Monday, and I'm shooting this, and this will be, is it Wednesday or Thursday's video? So we'll be into like the 21st, 21st, 22nd of July. So that means we want to be looking at, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of August for our drops. Hopefully I'll be able to find something to bring to the channel tomorrow when we come back with some more of this daily content. For now though, it's time for me just to say the same thing that I say at the end of every single video, which is to remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.